Well, that's good to hear. I'm very excited about it. Let's get our final predictions, real predictions.
Sure.
Tasteless.
Vortix 2-1.
Vortix 2-1.
MC 2-1.
Vortix 2-1, Todd. Come on.
Boo, Todd!
Boom.
Get out of here, Todd!
I can't even believe that. All right, it looks like the game is ready. Your casters will be tasteless and in control. Guys, take it away.
All right, guys, we are in the game. We're ready to go. Over here in the bottom left, one of the most successful and richest pro gamers here in StarCraft 2. Make some noise for MC! His opponent over here in the bottom right from Spain. Make some noise for Vortix! Woo.
Wow. I'll tell you what, I hope you guys at home can hear this. The Spanish crowd is excited. Feels like a sporting event, and Vortix, he picked his words very carefully. He said, I will not disappoint, so hopefully he lives up to that. Scouting Probe does pull in here. We're gonna get close spawns on this map, and this is actually not a good thing. This is the first hurdle that Vortix is gonna have to leap over, because in these positions, there is a connection between the rocks, between the two naturals. It's very bad. Protoss can push through their force fields, very powerful. But if they get to their third bases, the distance between the 2/3 is so short that a frickin' Colossus can stand in the Protoss base and shoot the Zerg base.
And you gotta think MC's gonna take full advantage of that.
Oh, absolutely.
This map is fundamentally different from a lot of the other maps that we use here in StarCraft 2 because of the way the bases point towards each other.
Yeah.
And that really highlights what you were talking about, Jeff, because in spawns like this, you already, if you were a gambling man, would say, oh, this probably favors MC here. But let's see how Vortix opens and see if he can't try to get some kind of counter to that. A lot of that would involve doing something to cripple MC early on, or at least screw up his tech somehow.
Yeah, both players playing conservatively, at least at the get-go here. We have a spawning pool first, followed by a forge first for Minchel, and MC did scout out that it wasn't a hatch first. So that forge is a little bit of respect. He probably plays against Vortix on the ladder quite often. Both these players are European based at this point in time. And Vortix, like I said earlier, is a guy who is really, really committed to getting lings in your base. Not necessarily in the all-in, I need to end this now kind of fashion, but more the, I want this game to be chaotic, I want to get all intel, and I want to get in early.
Well, so far, the third hatch down. The Protoss finishing up the entire tech here. And we're going to have a really good idea once the core's done is what exactly he's going to be doing here. But MC, there's a lot of options for Protoss nowadays, especially in these positions. Because, okay, let's say as a hypothetical, MC does not go for some kind of aggressive play off these three bases.
Wow.
If Vortix doesn't get a read that that's happening, Vortix may have overcompensated for something that wasn't even coming at him. So again, it's going to be very interesting to see exactly how does MC play on this map. By the way, this map has not been around for a long time, so there's still a lot of time for us to learn and see how the greatest StarCraft 2 minds play on this map.
This is brand spanking new, and I'll tell you, it's kind of funny because right now in the meta, a lot of openings are Stargate-based, getting Phoenix out, getting Oracles out, but when you're so close like this, both those seem kind of silly. It kind of changes things. You look at this saying, well, I could do an Immortal push that I don't know how the hell they would stop. I could go fast Colossus. I could go Stargate, but then like a Void Ray starts off 7 inches away from the other guy's third hatch, so maybe that's really good.
You could even go more basic than that. You could even do a simple gateway rush. It's easier to get the pylons up over there. Okay, and here's what we were looking for. It's going to be the Stargate tech. Now there's still a variety of options on where he can take that from here. But what's most important to look at from the Zerg's angle, from Vortix's angle, is that he is going to have to be responding correctly to everything MC does for this phase of the game. I'd say for here probably the next 10 minutes, even longer if possible. While Vortix is attempting to bring this into the end game or win with a very specific timing, but so far it doesn't seem clear he's going to do that.
I'm going to go as far as to say if he starts off making Phoenix here, it's a mistake. I want to see what he does.
Agree.
It should be an Oracle. Could be a Void Ray. I think Phoenix would be a mistake. And it is going to be Oracle, so I'll just cut myself off there. Oracle's nice here. There are queens in place to deal with this, so it's not like we're looking at game-ending damage, but it pops out. It's going to hit really quick. And if it can get an isolated queen, of course, it can take that on, but it's probably going to look to ignore the queen and just go after drones. That's the MC style.
Here comes that Overlord now. He does not have confirmation as to the Stargate tech here, so there's still a bit of an element of surprise here for MC, or excuse me, for Vortix.
Oh, for now,
and,
yes. And
yep.
this
and
Overlord will spot the Stargate. Of course, the Oracle's already out, so it's not like there's going to be too much in the way of a defense to respond to this. Oracle making its way to the natural. Let's see if it gets any damage done here. It shows up before the Spore Crawler. It's going to go to work on the queen first. It's an interesting choice. There is creep spread between these bases, so it looks like it should get just the one queen, but I'll tell you what, an Oracle for a queen, a favorable trade for the Zerg player here.
Yeah, much better to lose.
Well, it didn't get the Oracle, but I mean, that's all it did.
Yeah, I mean, well, it could have done much more. I mean, sometimes you see those things kill, 7 drones or something. Now, we did, well, we see it actually right now, that Protoss is going for a quick expand. Now, he's setting up that gateway wall here to get cannons behind that, get the necessary defense. But this does lead into what we were talking about right there. Now, look at the mini-map, guys, here in the bottom center, a little bit up from the very bottom. Their expansions are right next to each other, and this is the natural way on this map that you would end up developing your economy, I should say. But this makes it for a lot of very interesting scenarios if we get into air tech or drops or plenty of other different kinds of ground attacks here, because their thirds are both just right next to each other. One can lose it very, very easily depending on how the other player is responding.
Infestation pick gets scouted out immediately here. We also have double Evos for our Zerg player Vortix. I'm sensing Roach Hydra Viper, perhaps. I've seen something as silly as abducting from one mineral line over to yours. You can literally trade energy for probes. It's something that is possible on this map.
Yeah, you could do it. We do see Blink here from MC, and I certainly am not surprised by that, because with a good blink in this close proximity, you can harass your opponent's third base and then easily just blink back all the way into your home to defend. So counter-attacking for the Zerg is not really an option, at least not towards the third base.
Yeah, ooh, Enduring Locust. So
I like this. I like this a
lot. A lot of people do. Swarm Host. It's interesting because from this position, of course, they're so freaking close that those Swarm Hosts, depending on their pathways, is going to be defending all 3 going on 4 bases for Vortix by also challenging the bases of MC. So they're very powerful in that way. And we can see it's a lot about creep spread, and that's so far fairly non-existent. Now, one thing that gives me pause, MC has not taken the gases at his third. Typically, with this number of gateways and blink, that means we're going to get that 3-base timing attack that's very infamous.
Well, I think, not taking the gases at the third is actually perfect. If he's just going Mass Stalker from here, that's going to balance out perfectly with his minerals and his gas. And he can push across here, but if he gets enough, Vortix gets enough Swarm Hosts out, Stalkers can't do much once you get a critical mass of Locust.
I think the detection is just this Oracle, and it's using its reveal ability right now to spot for tumors.
But it's
going to eventually run out, and then he'll have no detection.
Now let's see, Vortix is going to have to try to survive this attack here. If he does, he's going to be in great shape with those Swarm Hosts. A lot of force fields are going down now, and it looks like the Roach is unable to help out here. Look at that, he backs up the Swarm Hosts just enough so that they can reburrow and then respawn the Locust. So far, MC doing a good job of pushing in, but it's not clear if he's going to be able to break through the third just yet.
Yeah, it's a battle of attrition. He, at the very least, does have access to this hatchery, but all of his Stalkers and Sentries are occupied with just trying to kind of stem the tide. Meanwhile, our Zerg player is just trying to hold on. Again, there's the Robo just now going down. Otherwise, there's no detection. So really, unless MC shoots down this hatchery, he's just kind of shooting Locusts and Lings that pop out.
But you know what?
Want to be doing.
Shooting down the hatchery might be the only way that MC can make this attack actually work. He's blinking back the weaker Stalkers here. The hatchery's at about half health. Zealots now coming in. The Queen's kiting back here as they wait for the next Locust respawn to come out.
And he's pushing forward. He should get that hatch. He's really not even interested in occupying his focus fire on that. He's going to move forward here. Drones being pulled. This just went from bad to worse. Vortix all of a sudden does not have his Swarm Hosts accessing these Stalkers. That means they're getting drones. They're getting the natural. This could be it for Vortix.
Yeah, he could end up blinking all the way into the main here, and that's going to be a GG. A really nice move there from MC. You know, we were talking about if the Locusts managed to get out in great enough numbers, they would naturally force out the Stalkers. Now, here's what's interesting about that scenario back there. He did get enough Locusts out. So what does MC do? He blinks into the Zerg's base. You can continue to get drones. He can continue to reinforce another attack over there at the front because Locusts, they're only good at either attacking or defending one location. So in that situation, I think MC is really highlighting why he's had the success that he has had.
Well, there's a couple of very subtle things that occurred there that were a really big deal. He was shooting Locusts, yes, but we should have drawn more limelight on what he was actually doing, which is any roaches, any lings that came out, they were dying in that fray as well, which meant when he blinked forward, it was up to whatever he produced. Now, on the production tab was 10 roaches, but those 10 roaches against 16 some odd blink stalkers, and as you pointed out, those swarm hosts are very immobile. They don't want to be up and at it, trying to catch up with stalkers that are very fast otherwise. So MC hit a keyhole timing. If he waits a minute longer, maybe he has better detection, but he's facing 10 plus swarm hosts with roaches and lings and queens to support, and that's overwhelming for the low DPS of the stalkers. And all of a sudden, this game flips on its head, and I don't know where MC goes from there to get the win, but because he hit that timing when he did, he got the win.
We do have a different map for the next game. It's going to be merry-go-round, and I got to say, basically any other map is going to be better for Vortix when you compare it to map number 1. Map number 1, that's a tough one for Zerg, especially with the spawns just like that. The strategy MC used there were a lot of different strategies MC could have used. That one, I don't even think Vortix did a bad job handling it.
Celebrity in the audience, it's Grubby.
Grubby! Grubby inside my mouse pad!
You know what, it's interesting you say that because I fully agree with you, but actually as the game developed, MC didn't really directly abuse the map positions, that blink stalker strategy. Like, he could have gone the back Rockway.
It was a bit more finesse there. I'd say a strategic win. I mean, it got down to a moment he couldn't necessarily deal directly with the swarm hosts, but he could outmaneuver them in that moment, get past them, start killing more drones, and it snowballed from there. We are actually in game number 2 now. So let's see if Vortix can turn this around. Introducing our first player down here in the south. Make some noise for MC. From Spain in the upper right, he needs your support. Give it up for Vortix!
Whether MC capitalized on it or not, the first game and the way they spawned was beneficial for him. Now, here on Merry-Go-Round, this is a map that a lot of Protosses try to avoid in PvZ. It's not super, super bad. In fact, I would even go as far as to say it's not as bad as it was for Vortix in game number 1. But even just so, with maps the way they are, Vortix has got to be feeling pretty good about this. He's very much so a classical roach aggression Zerg. He'll mix in the odd speedling, harass, or all in. He's just a very aggressive Zerg, and this map screams that. Wide ramp at the natural, exposed third, open area in between all the bases. Vortix has to be feeling good at least about this map number 2.
This definitely could go to game number 3 here. If you are new to this map, it is a 3-player map. So one thing for how it operates with the Zerg obviously, ideally, always want to be expanding away from their opponents. And Zerg always want to be at least one expansion ahead in order to just maintain that lead. So what Zerg ends up doing as time passes, assuming we go into a long game on this map, is they expand towards the other starting location. Yeah. Now that does mean it's as easy for the Protoss to attack the Zerg's main as it is to attack an expansion across the map. So that's also something else to keep an eye out for if we do go into a super late game.
Sure, in a big way you kind of look at PvZ maps is you talk about the third base. It's really important. For Zergs, it's not nearly as much of a focal point for Protosses. A lot of their builds that they're very comfortable with right now revolve around how greedy, how fast can I take that third base. I mean, back in the day, It used to be all about 2-base all-ins, and 3rd bases were more rare. Now it's kind of the opposite. It's very much so about how fast and secure can a Protoss get their 3rd, and if the map helps them in that category, then it's probably better for the Protoss. Merry-go-round, not so much. The 3rd is far away from the natural. You have to go down a ramp onto the low ground, and then it's exposed. There's multiple pathways leading to it. Sure, you can SimCity in a cannon for a fairly secure 3rd, but a high-octane, very aggressive Zerg will find pathways to try to exploit that. So MC, a guy who's made a career off of his aggression, his perfect force fields, should be okay. Maps kind of, they're important, they're a part of the conversation, but they don't define him. That being said, I still feel comfortable for what you said earlier. Should we go to Game 3? I hope so. Vortix has got a little bit of help here with the map. Absolutely.
The core is now starting. And again, there's so many options for how Protoss can play this matchup, and MC is very good at all of them. So we could speculate all we want, but we might as well just wait for that core to finish up here. Now, over into Vortix's base, he's droning up heavily. We have no gases taken yet. He is trying to do what most of the solid Zergs are constantly trying to do, which is to just get through the early game and be in a healthy position in the mid game and into the late game. Zerg has some tools at their disposal to try to hurt a player early on, but most of those tools that are at their disposal in the early game penalize them later on unless they win with those. So
they're bigger risks. They can go for a Ling all-in, they can try Baneling stuff, they could go for early Roach, but all of those, unless dealing massive amounts of damage, have very little in the way of redemption. Whereas for Protoss, there's things like Mothership Recall, there's Oracles, there's things that are certainly aggressive in nature, but have very little in the way of being punished for that aggression.
Yeah, they usually parlay to expansions or tech or something like that. We have Warp Gate now being researched, and the Stargate is almost done. And from there, we're going to see probably an Oracle, I think.
Maybe, but this time it's very different. This this Overlord pulls in before the Oracle's out. It's going to see it at a very early point in time, and it's even going to pull out, which means our Zerg player Vortix has his choice. He can say, okay, do you want more Queens? Do you want to go Spore Caller? There it is. Spore Callers will go down. He actually started Burrow and then immediately canceled. So it might have been a misclick or it was an idea that he had but then did away with. Now the nice thing for him is after he scouts the natural and the main just like he did, he doesn't see a lot of gateways. He doesn't see scary tech now. So look for him to drone like a mad dog until a good 75 drones or later. And comfortably, he should know he can do that.
We got the Ling over here to try to block this Nexus. He will now have complete confirmation as to what his opponent's doing, and you're absolutely right in control. He's going to be droning like crazy. And again, this is a moment where he sees, okay, Protoss, you're being a little bit greedy. The only thing I can really do is defend and be even greedier than you.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's a couple options. You could do that, or you could try to pour on the units and go for a 3rd base cancellation. But I'm a bigger fan of what we see from Vortix here, because he could still opt for that. That Nexus is young. Yes, it will have a cannon. Maybe we'll have some units, but if MC tries like a Robo behind this, maybe a Void Ray or two, things that thin out his ability to add on a lot of units fast, then that means he's going to have a harder time holding that 3rd. And we see +1 range attack here for Vortix. So again, I think he is setting up for a mid-game attack and look to it to be kind of centralized around that 3rd.
You can see the Oracle, excuse me, the Oracle has shaved off a few drones already, but no real impactful damage. I mean, this is nothing that Vortix can't deal with. For the time being, the Oracle's probably going to operate as a spotter and as a scout here as he tries to see, okay, what is the Zerg tech into? How many drones does he have at each of his expansions? Because if you see a lack of drones, there must be something else like attacking units. And he's just going to keep his eyes on Vortix and try to counter whatever the next move will be.
Here we
go. Have a good amount of Hydras coming out now, actually 6 being produced, and range attack being upgraded as well. Meanwhile, over here for MC, 5 gateways being made.
I'm worried. I'll tell you what, a very interesting thing just happened here. In the meta, a lot of times you'll go Oracle, Void Ray, take a fast 3rd, and then you'll go Colossus. And if the Zerg player skips Roach and just goes Ling Hydra, super difficult hold to make. But if the Protoss, in this case, like MC, adds a bunch of gateways, doesn't really take the gases at the 3rd, and goes for Blink Sentry, we can see a repeat of what Stardust did to Hyun. It's a very similar strategy, and with good force fields and great Blink Micro, his units will endure, whereas that Zerg army, just off of 3 bases, becomes very fragile.
And I think out of all the people in the world, MC is one of the best when it comes to execution of strats like that. He does tag the Hydralisks here to get an idea of their movement.
This is going to hit very fast, though. Blink is not complete just yet. The gateways are opening up.
This army's quite brittle. Without the blink, the force fields go down here. Not bad. Cutting off some of those hydras over there, but Link's coming in here onto the left side now. And again, he does not have blink, so he cannot blink away. We see a little bit of regrouping here from Vortix. There's more reinforcements coming down. He regroups. It looks like just barely, though, MC has enough. So again, without blink even being available to just push back Vortex's army.
This is devastating, though. Unless Vortix catches MC making a mistake, that was a critical fight right there. Because they're both on equal bases. There's no fourth base behind this. There's no Spire. There's no contention plan for our Zerg player. It basically all comes down to this, and he just gave away the majority of his units. Now he's going to go in again. But look at that. I mean, they're immediately pushed back. They get a sentry or two. There's more Stalkers than Hydras, and whenever you say that, it's bad news bears if you're a Zerg fan.
You know, the Hydras, in this phase of the game, with the upgrades that they have, they're not good when it comes to retreating, especially against Stalkers with Blink. Lings do come back over here. They're trying to push back those Stalkers. You can see them microing the Hydras further forward here, but there's just too many reinforcements right now. By the way, nice job by MC parking that mothership core just over there on the high ground. And there it is, the time warp making the Hydras escape even slower.
Yeah, Pylon goes down to the side of this battle, which means MC is going to have access to warping in. Supplies are evening out. But Vortix is spending all of his money on units to basically survive. He's no longer the aggressor. The hunter becomes the hunted. And he's pulling back with just Ling Hydra. Meanwhile, the gases have been taken to the third behind this because MC is that confident. He's getting his 3 attack. He has yet to change his tech, so there's not much in the way of that. But with the access to 5 and 6 gases like he has now, and even warping and zealots, he'll have more sentries to buffer this as well.
You look at this game and you gotta think MC smells the blood in the water right now. He's moving in here now. Now let's see if MC can misstep here. Let's see if there's a mistake in his control, because MC doesn't have the greatest tech routes from here. If he does blunder this attack. Now we see MC regrouping over here. Vortix, by the way, with a nice arc out here, so that if he does get engaged, force fields can't be utilized anywhere near as much. And then a battle is now attacked.
There's a huge concave of Hydras with the best chance. The motion core did die in the background, so there's no recall. The Zealots are trying to buffer what they can. It's now Hydra versus just straight Stalker. A lot of both. A pretty good concave for our Zerg player here. Supply-wise, he's starting to take the lead. The Stalkers are being blinked back, but they're dying because they're in deep red. It looks like for now, our Zerg player has pushed that back.
He did manage to push MC back. The game could stabilize. MC is not giving up, however. More Stalkers have been warped in. Another Pylon warping in here as well, as he's going to push forward again. Link's coming in from the side, a blink away, but is it enough?
He's going to try to make it enough. Here comes Vortix pushing down, now getting to that Pylon. This is where a lot of the reinforcements come in. Targeting down the Pylon, boom! No reinforcements for this fight for now, and Vortix wisely pulls back. If he pushes too far forward, those Stalkers could punish him. This is a very tedious moment. Both players flirting with disaster. I don't know why MC is out here this much. He's going to go for a hatch snipe. This is a good move. The mobility of his Stalkers allow him this, but he has no escapability, no sentries, no recall, so if this fight turns sour, he could throw this game away.
Nice save there with the hatcheries. MC has been pushed back again here. Let's go back for a second. That was really good decision-making on the spot when he got that Pylon, warping in those units. Completely resetting the Protoss's position there.
Yep.
I don't blame MC for going up there to get that hatch, but Vortix shut him down there again. He needs to save this hatch, though. The hatch is low.
It's very low. Now, a couple of things are happening here, and this is part of what makes some players so damn good. Notice Vortix has almost non-existent creep spread. He's been fighting to survive this entire time. The longer the game goes, the more that matters. And right now, Vortix needs to bounce back in that regard. He's still just making Hydras and Lings. There's been no Spire in the background because he's a little bit tunnel vision. If there's enough Colossus to get out, and we already have one, they could prove to be extremely difficult for Vortix to handle.
Vortix now attacking into this position over here. The one Colossus is really well set up, though, to deal with this. He does back up and regroup. It is 3 base versus 4 base. The supply is almost even right now, with Protoss in a minor disadvantage, but it looks like, the angling of the Protoss's army should be able to deal with this.
This is just before range for the Colossus. That's as good of a concave as you can get. This is everything that Vortix could ever ask for. If he has a chance, it's right now, but you can see his army's starting to thin out. He's shoring up against those cannons. The Colossus will have range in a second. A second Colossus is about to pop out. I'm sorry, but this entire time I've been having a tough time seeing where Vortix digs this victory out. And the more he's not saturating his fourth, the more he's not spreading his creep, there's a hive in the background. Maybe for Vipers, but it's such an uphill battle from here on out.
I mean, the fourth has been, for most of this game, a giant paperweight. I mean, he's not actually mining from it.
Not even injecting on it.
You don't get, this isn't risk, and you don't just get to take a location and you have to mine the minerals from that to benefit from it. But MC now regroups. And by the way, you can't blame Vortix for counterattacking there because this position was a bit dire. And speaking of another counterattack over here, he's headed into the main. The links now come by, going right up towards the probes here in the main. Another attack over there at the third, it looks like, but more importantly, these workers are gonna have to be evacuated.
He gets the main dislodged, did some damage at the third. Zealots are warped in, they should clean this up. Meanwhile, MC feels confident. Equal supply, a fairly large bank. Pylons down mid-map. He is going to apply the pressure, and he's got a hell of an army. 3 Colossus with little in the way of an answer. The Hive is not yet finished. It's going to be Ling Hydra for this, for Vortix's life. Here he goes. He's going to push in there, but he disengages immediately, feeling the burn of that oven, and MC is going to steamroll through this. Vortix, you fought well and hard, my friend, but there's too much MC here.
Yeah, MC's presence here is just very difficult to deal with. The Colossi can be microed back up their head. The Stalkers blinked away if they take too much damage. MC does go cautiously regroup over here, and I think this is a smart move here from MC. Go up the ramp. He can force field off parts to the bottom if the Hydras try to come in here, or he can even force field the other ramp over there to the right side of our screen. You can see that Vortix has not evacuated this location, and as each second passes, this game is looking like more and more of a promising win here for MC.
Yeah, he's got the army trapped.
Oh my God, that was so good. GG!
Called out. MC with the convincing 2-0, much to the dismay of the home crowd, but hey, this guy's a champion. He's a Dreamhack winner, and he's gonna march on to that top 4, and we will also see him at Dreamhack winner at the end of the year.
Really well played here by MC from the very start of this series to the finish. It was a great series, some good sportsmanship there from MC. And he will now be moving on to the semifinals. Smix, how's MC doing?
Tasteless, I'm about to find out. MC, that was a very convincing 2-0 over Vortix. You have had your best performance at this Dreamhack compared to your other Dreamhacks where you stopped at the top 8. But next you have to face Linok, another great Zerg player. You and Linok have a lot of history together. What are your thoughts going into that next semifinal match?
Actually, Linok is a really good player, but I'm not scary about him because he is not strong against me. So yeah, it will be easy.
Now, MC, prior to this game, a lot of fans were chanting Vortix's name. Unfortunately, you did take them out, but I know that there are also a lot of MC fans here. To all of your fans who are cheering for you, what do you have to say to them?
I'm so sorry about this, beat Vortix, but I guess if I will get champion, he lost to champion, so it's nothing. So I will try my best.
Thank you very much, MC. Guys, that will wrap up our quarterfinals. When we get back from this break, we will start the first semifinal match between two teammates, Saxry and Stardust. Stay tuned.